Lila Rose first made headlines when she posed as a 15-year-old trying to get an abortion at Planned Parenthood. Lila told the abortion facility staff her boyfriend was 23, but she didn't want him to get into trouble. So the employee told Lila to figure out a birthday that worked, and they wouldn't say anything to the authorities. Today, Lila joins me along with her colleague James to talk about their latest undercover investigation. You don't want to miss this shocking discovery. I met Lila and James at a cafe to learn more about their latest investigation into Planned Parenthood, an organization with over 860 affiliates. It primarily provides abortion and birth control services, funded in part with your tax dollars. These college students have made it their goal to expose how your tax dollars are being used. Recently, you guys were involved in quite an interesting undertaking, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You could say interesting. We conducted a short investigation of the money trail that's linked to Planned Parenthood. Now, we all know that Planned Parenthood is an almost $1 billion organization. They accept tax-paying money, and then they also have a lot of racist history to them. Their founder, Margaret Sanger, was pretty much a self-pronounced racist and eugenicist. So we taking these two things, we wanted to see kind of where, following the money trail, what Planned Parenthood had to say when it came to issues of race. And we found some pretty shocking results. We did a series of phone calls of Planned Parenthoods across the nation in one day, and we called several of these, and we would pose as racist donors. So people that wanted to give money to Planned Parenthood for the sake of a racist reason, usually targeting the African American community, saying we wanted to lower numbers of the population in the African American community. Horrific racist things that could have come right out of Margaret Sanger's own mouth, saying these to Planned Parenthood employees, directors of development, assistants to development, and seeing how they would respond to the comments and if they would take the racist money. And they probably hung up on you, right? Well, we were hoping that we would be hung up on. Sadly, as we expected, we weren't hung up on, with so much money being offered them, and so much money meaning enough for maybe 1 abortion, 1 to 10 abortions. They were more than willing to accept the money in almost all the cases that first day that we called. And we also were privy to some pretty sad, very sad, shocking things that the employees would say in response to our own racist comments that we were projecting. Here's the audio from the phone call made by Lila's colleague, James O'Keefe, to a Planned Parenthood in Idaho.
Shanann, this is Autumn.
Hello, Autumn. I'm interested in making a donation today.
Fantastic.
What about abortions for the underprivileged minority groups?
Oh, absolutely. We have, in fact, wonderful, fantastic news. We just received a very generous donation to our Women in Need Fund.
Wonderful. I want to specify that abortion to help a minority group. Would that be possible? Like the black community, for example?
Certainly.
Okay. So the abortion could be, I could give money specifically for a black baby. That'd be the purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to designate that you wanted your gift to be used to help an African American woman in need, then we would certainly make sure that gift was earmarked specifically for that purpose.
Great, because I really face trouble with affirmative action, and I don't want my kids being disadvantaged, against black kids. I just had a baby. I want to put it in his name, so that's definitely possible.
Oh, always, always.
So I just wanted, can I put this in the name of my son?
Absolutely.
In the name of my son, great. He's trying to get into colleges, and he'll be applying, we're just really big. He's really faced troubles with affirmative action, and we just think the less black kids out there, the better.
Understandable.
Right.
David, let me, if I may, just get some sort of specific general information so we can set this up the right way. You said you wanted to put it in your son's name, and you would like this designated specifically to assist African American woman who's looking to terminate a pregnancy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and want to protect my son so he can get into college.
All right. Excuse my hesitation. This is the first time I've had a donor call and make this kind of request,
Sure.
So I'm excited, and I want to make sure I don't leave anything out.
I asked James as the caller to explain his reason for making the call. You really played the role of a blatant racist.
I did.
You said you were concerned about too many black babies being born. You say you were worried about affirmative action. These are some awful statements. You really played a real heel, didn't you, in this role?
I did. I tried to be as racist as possible.
Now, were you surprised by their reaction?
Ultimately, no, because I believe that Planned Parenthood is a racist organization. They stick by their original racist mission. But when I was on the phone speaking with them, I was pretty taken back. The first thing I would say was, I just want this money to be used specifically for an abortion, which by itself is a pretty ridiculous thing to say. If you say, I want this money, I really want to fund an abortion. Not to help women, I want my money to be used because I really want that abortion. And then I would take it a step further and I'd say, actually I want this abortion to be underwritten for a black baby. And then I would take it a step further and just see at what point would these people as human beings take a step back from their roles in a business and say, this is absurd. What are we doing? I never got to that point, not once.
Have you approached Planned Parenthood with this transcript or this audio tape?
We did give Planned Parenthood a chance to redeem themselves. We called both the national line, and then we would call the individual employees that we spoke with. We called them back the next day or later on the same day when we made the original calls. And we said, is this true? Would Planned Parenthood do this? First of all, would Planned Parenthood accept donations for the specific purpose of a minority abortion, for a black abortion? And the response we got from the national line was, we can't answer your question, ma'am. I'm sorry, we just can't answer your question. And I said, why not? Why is there anyone here who can answer this question? Shouldn't this be an easy question to answer? But for some reason, they were afraid to make a public statement that they would not accept money specifically designated for an African American abortion.
The entire nationwide organization was on alert. We were doing these things within 1 or 2 or 3 days. And when they got that message, that's when they started protecting their own backs, when they started protecting their own skin. It wasn't because they had any regard for the content, the racist content. They didn't care that they didn't even address the content of why they're doing it. They did it because it was a policy to protect themselves. So we had 1 or 2 employees when we called back who said to us, I'm sorry, we can't accept that. We can't accept that donation. That's wrong. Well, every single phone call, 14 consecutive employees, nationwide, Idaho, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, etc., consistent racism. And only when they found out that they were being racist, that's when they started to renege and they started to say, we can't accept.
Several attempts were made to reach the Executive Development Director of Planned Parenthood in Idaho. We wanted to get her side of the story. She refused to respond to our calls. When we return, Arnold Colbreth, Urban Outreach Director at Life Issues Institute, responds to the content of the phone call to Planned Parenthood.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Urban Outreach Director Arnold Colbreth travels nationally to educate people about the impact of abortion in the African American community. I wanted to get his perspective on this audio from Planned Parenthood. Arnold, what do you think about this undercover investigation conducted by these students?
My response is twofold. On the one hand, I was very deeply impacted by listening to the audio of what was captured, listening to it, from an African American perspective. But on the other hand, I'm really excited that they were able to get in and to capture this.
What's your reaction to the discussion that transpired over the phone?
Shocked, angry, saddened, but understanding that this is what Planned Parenthood is doing on a daily basis.
What do you think the reaction from the African American community will be to this?
I think there will be many who are as appalled as I am and will want to do something about it.
Do you think it's accurate as far as the racist origins of Planned Parenthood?
Oh, it's absolutely accurate. It's no surprise to me that the footage bears out what it does. When I look back at Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, and her racist and eugenicist agenda.
According to Planned Parenthood, in 1914, Margaret Sanger opened America's first birth control clinic. Then, in 1930, Sanger recruited the help of W.E.B. Du Bois and other African American leaders to support the opening of a family planning clinic in Harlem, New York.
Margaret Sanger reached out to black pastors who, based on the research that I've done, I'm not convinced that they fully understood what was really behind her agenda. But she was successful at infiltrating the black community, steering a lot of young African American women to Planned Parenthood facilities. And that's one of the reasons that the black community largely views Planned Parenthood as our friend today.
I can't help but think that if you have a young African American man or woman who reads or hears the dialogue between the Planned Parenthood person and James, that they wouldn't come to a strong conclusion that Planned Parenthood was more their enemy than their help.
Yeah, I would agree with you 110%.
And we just think, the less black kids out there, the better.
Understandable, understandable.
Coming up,
They are targeting minorities as they did from day one.
Thank you for inviting us into your home. Each week we feature real people who deal with real-life issues head-on. Some of their experiences are uplifting, while others will break your heart. But in the end, the message is clear. Those who follow biblical principles on the issues of life are blessed. Become a partner with us in providing a positive, life-affirming message to help change the way the next generation values innocent human life. Please consider a generous gift to help offset the costs of producing this important quality programming. You can donate on our secure website at facinglife.tv or by calling the phone number on your screen during normal business hours. Together, we can make a real difference for life.
an abortion can cost between $300 and $5,000. Considering Medicaid does not cover the cost of an abortion, funding can be provided to low-income women through alternative organizations. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, African Americans had the lowest median income among minorities in 2006. So, Lila, there must have been a reason you thought you needed to place calls like this. Did you suspect Planned Parenthood was supporting efforts to abort black babies?
Definitely. There's a couple things to say there. First of all, Planned Parenthood is an organization that was founded on principles of eugenics and on racist principles. It was founded by Margaret Sanger. To this day, Planned Parenthood recognizes her as a great lady, a great founder. They give out Margaret Sanger Awards annually. Part of her plan as a eugenicist at the time when she was first founding Planned Parenthood was to decrease the population of African Americans in the United States. This is one of her quotes. She says, "We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. So this, coming from her, she thought she was being compassionate by lowering the number of African Americans in our country. To this day, that philosophy does live on in Planned Parenthood. They have women in need or justice funds set up all across the country in Planned Parenthoods. These funds are used specifically for minority women to have abortions. They are targeting minorities as they did from day one.
And minorities include others than the black population, right?
Yes, they do, but the black population has been the hardest hit.
Since 1973, there have been over 14 million abortions within the African American community.
Abortion is the #1 cause of death in the black community, higher than AIDS, higher than heart disease, higher than cancer, higher than accidents. All combined, abortion exceeds those numbers.
Now, when they talk about Planned Parenthood, some refer to it as reproductive racism. What facts do they have to substantiate that claim?
Do a little bit of research on Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. In 1939, she crafted what was called the Negro Project. And this project was intended to control the population of the black race, either through birth control or abortion. And I'm talking about reproductive racism in the context of Planned Parenthood. 62.5% of their facilities are located in black communities, which just plays right into the statistic of black women being 2/3 more likely to have an abortion than a white woman.
Is the pro-life movement making this information up, or what are they basing this on?
I'm glad you brought that up, because we hear that a lot, that the pro-life movement is making up these statistics. These statistics come from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, they come from the Census Bureau, they come from the Health Department, and one of the real significant sources is the Alan Guttmacher Institute, which is the research arm of Planned Parenthood.
Do you think Planned Parenthood today is functioning in a way that would justify reproductive racism?
Yes, I would. I mean, when you look at the percentage of the client base of Planned Parenthood for all goods and services rendered, there are more Caucasians that are served by Planned Parenthood when you broaden the array of services. But when it comes down to abortion services sold, the numbers do a strange flip-flop. There are many more minorities served in that context.
Next, James talks about the possible legal ramifications of their undercover attempts.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Recently, Lila Rose and James O'Keefe recorded audio of a phone call made to a Planned Parenthood.
David, let me, if I may, just get some sort of specific general information so we can set this up the right way. You said you wanted to put it in your son's name, and you would like this designated specifically to assist African-American woman who's looking to terminate a pregnancy?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And want to protect my son so he can get into college.
All right. Excuse excuse my hesitation. This is the first time I've had a donor call and make this kind of request, so I'm excited, and I want to make sure I don't leave anything out.
Well, James, you're a first-year law student. Have you thought about the legal ramifications for Planned Parenthood for the racist ties to this type of activity?
I've thought about it. Planned Parenthood is a very powerful organization. Lila and I saw it last semester. As many laws as they break, and they break statutory rape laws, there's all types, I mean, you could invoke the 14th Amendment. They got us on a wiretapping statute in California, which was practically a misdemeanor. And they sent Lila a cease and desist letter asking her to stop all the behavior. I mean, Lila uncovered an incredible injustice. A girl got raped, young teenage girl. They're lying to do an illegal abortion and cover up a statutory rape. And they got us on a wiretapping misdemeanor. So they're just trying to cover their own backs. They're just trying to protect themselves. And they'll use any legal means necessary to protect themselves. So it's a hard war to win.
The value of this project in revealing what's really going on, that this organization is doing racist things and that it's wrong, it needs to stop, that is worth any kind of legal argument they could come up with against us, because we're getting the truth out there, and once the truth is out there, that can't be silenced, no matter how many threats they make against us personally.
You're editor-in-chief of The Advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
It's a school magazine at UCLA, and our club Live Action publishes it. I founded it in January of this year, of 2007, and we focus on using new media and doing new investigative pieces, not just editorials, but kind of coming to the abortion issue, approaching it in all different lights so that we can reach more people. And that's what both of our last issues focused on, and our next issue will be focusing on that as well.
Do you see your message getting out to the youth of America?
We're trying to get it out there in as many ways as possible, and one way we're really interested in is film, YouTube, getting it out there through new media so that we can reach particularly the youth, because Planned Parenthood does a lot of propaganda to target youth and to make them look good for the young people, so we're trying to get it out there in as many ways as possible to reach as many people as possible.
We're trying to empower the individual, the pro-life individual, to go out there. Hopefully people look at us and say, we can do that too.
There are I know hundreds, even thousands of pro-life youth out there who are brave, who are capable, and if they just kind of give themselves the extra push and go out there and do work like this, start a magazine at their school, do their own investigations of their own health center, of their own Planned Parenthood, we can see these results again and again across the country.
How do you think the African American community is going to respond to this?
I hope they're outraged. I hope this project and this investigation serves the purpose that we want it to serve, which is to get people that don't have a view on abortion or who disagree with us on abortion to start agreeing with us. Racism is something that everyone should agree on. If people don't think this is wrong, then what could possibly be wrong?
Mother Teresa says that when a mother can turn against her own child and have an abortion, what else is left to save in a civilization? That's why this is the most important issue in America, and that we really need to face it and we need to fight it.
Planned Parenthood is officially listed as a nonprofit organization. However, their latest financial statement shows they made a stunning $55 million profit. Lila and James showed us just how far one Planned Parenthood has gone to bring in money. Some call their efforts reproductive racism and point to over 62% of abortion facilities located in predominantly African American neighborhoods. The evidence seems to warrant a closer look at the way the abortion industry does business. Thanks for watching. You can learn more about the early beginnings and history of Planned Parenthood. Go to facinglife.tv and ask for a free copy of Margaret Sanger, Father of Modern Society. A limited number of copies are available. While there, find out how you can get a copy of today's episode, Reproductive Racism, on DVD.